Alright, we are back, and we both had, first, Belovely's has a bit of a headache, so we'll see how long we last. But she's like, I will tough it out, because I'm a trooper. Two, we both had a revelation, because we just remember that the last time we played this, since it's been a little while, we had no idea how the heck, what we were missing to get to the next part. And I feel like we presented everything to this dude.
Let's look at all of Gina's paperwork.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, he still can't share anything with us. He's gonna drink tea. Alright, let's look at the paperwork. Indeed.
There's nothing on the back and you can't rotate it.
No, it's just the front.
What about that?
Now, we already checked what the thing is with this.
It turned purple, didn't it?
Yeah. There's blood. There's the gloves. Fingerless. And we already figured out how this worked.
Yeah, but we think the fingerprint might be McGilded's, actually. Or the guy who pawned it.
Yeah, the purple one, right? I can't wait to see how stupid we feel when we see like some obvious thing that we were supposed to do.
Let's try to his name check.
Look for this to turn light blue without the check mark.
Whoa.
3 golden balls. That's right, that sign shows the shop is a pawnbrokery. A bit like your armband shows you're a defense lawyer. And what's the significance of the 3 golden balls? Does it have some special meaning?
It does, I just learned that.
I expect Hurley would like to answer that question when he's back from the hospital. You mean you don't know? Clever girl. Okay, well, it was something, just I don't think it was necessarily relevant.
We had nothing to present her, we presented her everything.
Poor Ginny, this is all my fault, really. But she'll be alright, won't she? In court tomorrow, I mean. I'll defend her with everything I've got. So, she'll be alright, won't she? Am I that bad at instilling confidence? I think we did show that to her. And then...
Did you present the blood samples to her?
The way you can identify differences in people's blood like this is amazing. You really are a genius, Iris. I know, I am. If Hurley and I put our minds to it, we could really shake up Britain's chemists and alchemists. We showed that to her, yeah. And you could shake up Japan's lawyers and judges, couldn't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, for sure, even if I didn't intend to. Okay, let's see. I think we already did this one, too. I think this was an obvious one. Yeah, oh, my manuscript. Mr. Sholmes said he deposited it at Windibanks, and he had. But it's so strange. What is it about this particular story? I worked so hard on it. Why would Hurley say I can't publish it? I'm afraid I have no idea. All you can do is wait until he's ready to tell you, I suppose. Oh, maybe it's because Hurley isn't in it enough. Maybe I didn't give him enough good lines. Yes, maybe. I wish I could say that definitely isn't the reason, but I can't.
Did you examine it all the way?
Down to the Baskervilles. I just decided to know the exact title of this unpublished story. Oh yeah, I think we've definitely done this with her.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't like boring things. Dang, we must have done this before too.
Were all those papers on the floor before?
I think so, because I think this whole place is disorganized. There's all sorts of these shelves. I think this is just like a description thing here. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling there's a whole lot to go on top of at any moment. It really does tend to overload the shelves. That's one way of putting it. He wanted to look something up in one of those books the other day, you know. But it was so tightly crammed in, he gave up and went out to buy a brand new copy instead. Yeah, see, this stuff's always been here, so I don't actually know.
The chest didn't light back up.
The chest?
Yeah.
It's an unusual way to make use of a huge metal chest as a table for tea and coffee, but it is a very sturdy box, and I've noticed that it's always locked. Oh well, that's because that box contains some of my most important things, which you have no intention of telling me more about, judging from that guarded smile. No, what I mean is, like I can see, like, the blue in here, but I think a lot of this stuff is just, like, you click on it to get a sense as to how Hurley and Iris operate. Like, I don't know if there's anything here that's actually going to be something that we need to progress in the story. And last time we were here, we had to wait.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think we... let's see. There's a notice board on the wall here. Look, let's see, what does it say? Thought of the day, on seeing any vermin, calmly and discreetly inform matron. Oh yes, they have rats and mice in hospitals like this. I'd love to feast on all the medicine. Oh, that's nice. If you don't deal with them, there's nothing left to treat the patients. Rats and mice? Oh, I see. This is a rather odd building, I suppose. The doctors and nurses are all very good, I hear. I certainly hope so, for Mr. Sholm's sake.
They need a cat.
I wonder what these are. Do you have any idea, Iris? No, haven't you ever seen crutches before? Let me explain. They're for people with leg injuries, to help them walk. You hold one underneath each arm, you see. Ah, right. I thought they were weapons of some sort. Why would there be weapons at a hospital? I thought maybe a fighter had been injured in a battle contest and been brought here along with his weapons. That's surprisingly plausible. It's weird to think there's things we use now that have such a long history. Because I've never thought about how old crutches are in my life. Never had to. I don't think we need to talk to the justice. She's not here.
Prison?
The prison. I remember coming back here last time. So we're done with Gina.
I'm so confused.
And we checked so much of this before. I thought maybe there was something on the outside.
What about the entrance to Sholm's?
Yeah, we did that. I remember that.
What in the world are we missing? It's gotta be in the storeroom or the shop.
Yeah. There's something we didn't do yet.
Have you showed him Iris's manuscript?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He, like, gushed up over it. Is that what I think it is? Your ladyship's latest? Yes, my latest story. It's called The Hound of the Baskervilles. The most fascinating title, your ladyship. Fascinating, I don't suppose. Will there be any mention of my humble self in this tale this time? Good question. I can't really remember. I see, I see. Well, why would you, lady? Yeah, we definitely spoke with him. He goes to pick up his fish and chips again.
Did you show him the blood football?
Yeah, he can't talk to us about any of this.
Oh.
See? Now he's gonna drink tea.
I don't understand what we're missing.
Look at my armband, man. No. God, this guy is just... He's gonna go through so many jugs of this.
We already did that.
Yeah, we did everything.
So, are we missing a clue?
I mean, that's the thing. I have gone over this thing, and everything's accounted for.
Even the posts on the secret?
Yep. Going through everything. Haven't been able to find anything.
Do we have to present something to one of the bodies?
We can't. Because we've already talked to them. See, like this guy. Every article? That's ridiculous. These poor people are underpaid to do all this. I don't want to, but I'm so close to seeing if somebody has some kind of FAQ on this. Or FAQ, however you pronounce it. But I don't want to, because I want to just figure everything out, you know?
Oh.
Well, no, you see, I'm not presenting anything right now. Look, if I go to present, I can't access them. See, there's no people button. I know. Because at that point, I would just be like, well...
Can I just her or to everybody?
Oh yeah, like, I can look up the court record and people anytime I want. But as far as presenting, you're only presenting the evidence. I've already shown her my armband, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm going to see if I can look it up. I feel bad, but it's kind of like... At this point, we're doing, like, a really convoluted process of elimination instead of just progressing the story. So let me see if... See, I want to know what is killing us here. I feel so bad, but... soon be allowed to explore. Okay, blood samples, pawnbroker. Okay. If I'm reading right, I could have sworn we did this already. Inspector, what do you make of this? Ah, what have we here? A redemption ticket from an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever piece of paper was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket for McGilda's overcoat, the one that little diver turned up with yesterday. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do ya? No, I didn't mean to, Bruno's right, Greg. See, it isn't the same ticket. Of course it isn't, of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. So what's all this about, then, if I may be so bold as to ask? This is a second ticket. A second one? It seems that Mr. McGilda, in fact, had another article in storage here at Windibanks. Is that right? I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. I thought we showed that to him.
I thought we did too.
Did we just show him one and then give up thinking the other one would be the same way?
I don't know.
If that's what we did, I'm gonna feel stupid. Like, I need to watch the video of our last one again.
Okay.
Just to watch me, not now of course, but just to watch me not do that. Because, like, really? Oh well. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGillet's overcoat. You mean to tell me? Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems. I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examine it properly. Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilda deposited another article here with Mr. Windibank. Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it? Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilda. It could be an important clue. Well, yes, or I suppose it could be. Please, stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes, all full of hope and expectation. It's too much pressure. I'll lose me marbles, I will. I'll go barking. This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector. That's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There's one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline already passed, hasn't it? Oh yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here, then. That's right, it's been forfeited. Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop where the forfeited items are offered for sale. Yes, the shelves in the front. We must search them at once. You're wasting your time. Oh? There are dozens of little boxes out there, hundreds even. We can't possibly know which one might have been McGilda's. That information's not written in the ledger. Ugh. Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case. Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old. Ah, I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windibank set such a wicked trap? I doubt he set it out to scare anyone. Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon. Oh? Her trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She might have changed her mind. Don't you remember, Runo? You told her she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be the lawyer. Really? Did I say that? Yes, you did. The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching. In that case, we had better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again. Okay, well now that we... How did we not figure this out?
I don't know.
I really do feel stupid about that. Alright. Hi, Gina. Good, you're back. Ah! The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Didn't bother me. Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windibanks. Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? It won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not... Gina, we came to ask for your final decision. What decision? About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not? I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see. She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Alright, let's tell her what we've uncovered. Alright then, blimey, give it a rest with these eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in, who done it? Unfortunately, we don't know that yet. You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime. And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish. Oh yeah, like what? Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I now know why you broke into Windibanks that night. Looks like I'm going to have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason.
Manuscript.
That's in Gina's face. Or I could present it to her calmly, I suppose. Yeah, let's do the manuscript. We found this in Mr. Windibank's storeroom, the manuscript of Iris' latest story. Ah. Oh, right. Well, that's good then. Curiously, the storeroom at Windibank showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value and the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina? You broke open the box containing this manuscript last night. Eh? You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Why don't you tell us what happened, please? Alright, yeah, this Baskerville story. It's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figured it's gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? Oh yes, at least 5,000 pounds. What? So you intended to sell Iris' manuscript, did you? No, Ginny, how could you? What? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I weren't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the mantle script, or whatever you call it, really was there or not. That's the only reason I was in the first place. For Iris' sake, isn't that right? Ah. We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did. But I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it. Well, when I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you'd said the night before. Grown up to a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, a lot of him. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling ya, that mantle script ain't no Windibanks. You'd soon see if you had a look. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I didn't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Oh, Ginny, that was so sweet of you. Alright, alright. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It weren't because of Iris, that's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. You want to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest if he really deposited the manuscript at Windibanks. It's like I told you the night before. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She got her dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon that's gotta be harder. Your stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me, anyway, last night when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories about dad. You're so thoughtful and so kind, Ginny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of her stains. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. Should we do that before representation in court?
Yeah.
Okay. Our other findings, like the blood samples?
Probably.
Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet. What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo. You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So could it be blood that spattered from Mr. Windibank when he was shot last night? Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get some results much faster than anything else. Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot. Purple. Whoa, that's a lot of purple. Oh. Oh my. What the? Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Hold on a sec, though. We don't know who the purple is, right? Oh no, the purple's thrice-fired Mason. Mm-hmm. And that coat was the one Mr. McGilded had on? Or was Mason's?
It must have been the one that McGilded had on. Why else would he want it at pawn?
Of course. The black color of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we hadn't seen them until now. And the blood had reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Aha, yes, it was the brickmaker Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago. I knew it. What? What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Boy, would someone explain what's going on? Stop telling half a story. We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGillicud's overcoat. But in trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony. Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. But if you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from McGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet. Now, if that was what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat. The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGillicud's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus McGilded. Mr. Naruhodo, that horrible case is solved at last, and I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all the twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen? Runo, did you believe him, though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent? I believed. Or rather, I think I was trying to believe, I wanted to, because believing in those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon. A weapon? Before we came to Great Britain, a friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson. You mean Kazuma-sama? Listen, Ryunosuke, we lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie, which is why we must resort to our primary weapon, an unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we really have. Unwavering belief. Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you unwaveringly. Hehe, what's funny, Gina? Of course, sounds like in this Empire of Japan you come from, everyone must be soft. Well, come on, look at the mess it's got you into believing in that bog-trotter. Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free. Well, at least you've learned your lesson now, eh? Believing in people is never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let your guard down, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one, get hurt by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I bet that's what he wants and all now. Mr. I'm a Believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I? And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the lawyer's primary weapon is unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. Well, yeah, because we don't think she did anything. The only thing that makes sense. So even though we're saying that the mystery's solved there, the mystery of how the bloodstains got there, even if we could maybe assume it was McGilded somehow, we haven't figured that, and we haven't figured out who killed him. So, still a lot to the mystery. That's different, though. I don't remember getting my client is actually guilty for a while in the first 3 games. But yeah, I trust her. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial. Hey, are you half-baked? Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth. Seriously, Mr. Narrow Odo. Didn't you hear all of what I said before? I'm a born liar, fibs just trip off me tongue, and I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it. Gina, I do understand why you choose not to put your trust in others, but I assure you there's more to this life than you yet realize. What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust, people who won't ever let you down. It's true that I'm just a student of law and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience, but I can promise you this, whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side. What do you expect me to say to that? Aw, she's crying. Then it's decided I'll take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. You know, Susato, I mean, she's speaking from experience. She didn't trust us.
Nope.
It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You Eastern lot are... I don't know what you are. I don't get you. Juna's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out all right in the end, I think. Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice. Mr. Sato, someone is there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. What? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? I suppose you were using one of those mystic Japanese arts, like the art of stealth I've heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector. Gregsy. Oh dear me, I am most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you. How long have you been listening in on our conversation? Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived this very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? Sit down and humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best, bye-bye and bye. That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship. Oh, but I want to have a chat. I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute. Oh, I see. That's a shame. If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with sharpish, Lord Strongheart will, well... Emergency? Lord Strongheart? Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off. Alright, Greg, see if you have to, but let's chat soon. Delighted, charmed, can't wait, if you please, my pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere. He was totally eavesdropping. Gregsy's so funny. He says such silly things. It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court. I must attend the court clerk's office now before it closes. Yes, of course. Thank you, Mrs. Sato.
No.
Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later. And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day, and then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan. Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I hope you're not too exhausted. What about you, Susato-san? Today has been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes. Gina was arrested, all on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon. Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them. I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow. One final task? Okay, well, let's do tomorrow's departure first. Do you know what time you will leave London in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry? I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but Every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible, even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret. I'm so sorry, Susato-san. It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts. I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience at the courtroom, I feel like I've learned something. And what would that be? It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities. Facets. And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives, but we see only a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on for as long as we live. That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san, I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry, I've what? Oh no, it was nothing. Unimportant. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents. It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The Gilded case. It seems to me that this case of Mr. Windibank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. What? Oh god, whoops. With everything else she's had to think about, Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Susato-san. I will do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I didn't quite catch what you said there. I'm just mumbling to myself. The Gilded case notes have been entered into the court record. Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something I need to say. Hiya! What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. Susato-san. It truly had been a trying day, on our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind, eventually my fatigue triumphed and I fell into a deep sleep. I'm sure we'll see her again, but it makes me sad. Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured I shall put everything in place exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell and Godspeed. My dear Madame.
She not really shot?
Is that what that was? I thought maybe he got better.
You never saying he lost so much blood. Now I am intrigued.
Is she really leaving is what I want to know now. You know what just happened, though? It's that this case 5, it shined a different light, and now something else is illuminating. This case got layers, man. It's like they set us up, and now it's just like everything's getting answered. I'm actually really enjoying this case, though. There's always a new layer that they're going toward. It's like all the stuff that they've built up for the past 4 cases is like slowly getting answered. When I awoke the following morning, the sun was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. Oh dear. What the heck is going to happen in this trial? Because you have to think this will probably be a 2-day one. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend, then? Sorry? You know, her in the fancy dress. Susardo, or however you say it, I don't know. Miss Susada had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are you? That's the first time I've seen her look like that. Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Mrs. Sato and I won't meet again one day. Even so, but you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. Hey, that's the GIF you showed me! Finally, we got to see it happen! Adrian showed me a nice GIF. I'll just call it a GIF, because that's what I want to say. Of her holding up the cat, and I'm like, I haven't seen her hold a cat yet. Here's the kitty! It's so cute! How you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Oh. Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Oh. It's like Iris is holding our Iris. Ah, Waggy. Great way to show your support, kitty. Let him have a nose around. What harm can it do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Runo, Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. That's the way you do it. Now, always take the good news first. You might not live... Yes, that... Let's not go there. Alright, then I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a... So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover, and the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Okay, well that makes sense. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon, so even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all good news cancel out the bad. And look, this trial has made the headlines, too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick purse plunder, see? Tisk, how do you like that? Well, let them say what they want, see if I care. I can't because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Runo will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will? And then in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be, Discharged Diver's Dauntless Do-Gooder. Isn't that right, Runo? Yes, let's hope so. Of course they will, I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. Good luck there, Runo. I'll do what I can. There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old. Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. Unbroken parishes and pig purse plunder. How awful, Virginia, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver's Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud pickpocket protects planet post-trial, perhaps? Protects... Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. Okay. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well, I was wondering is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up all right? Yes. The operation was a great success, but Hurley still hasn't come around yet. Okay, this is... Eh? I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Alright. No Susada-san, no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade? Counsel for the defense, the trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time, then. Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris. Lead the way, Runo.
Can we bring Kitty in?
I hope so. I'd love for her to be holding Kitty while she talks to us. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. "10 a.m. on the dot." Hey, look! It's Moonface. What's his name? He's a juror. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Von Zieks, my lord. Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? And one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government? Really? Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are 2 types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yes, I just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded, if I knew what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the far east, the Nipponese. Dude, what, did he really just say that? Yes, he did. He means you now, Runo. I actually managed to work that out too, thank you, Iris. Total betrayal, what are you talking about? Look of hatred in Lord Von Ziek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Von Zieks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors, and him to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? Okay, so... yeah, I just saw on the very right...
And he has a mouse.
He has a mouse.
Is he Russian?
But he's not the girl. And then she's back. Wasn't he the guy who couldn't read? Who couldn't hear?
Yeah.
I don't recognize the third guy. Second person's been there. You know, it's funny, considering how big London is, boy are we cycling through people only we know. Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible. But could I have? Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop. Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Something wrong, Runo? Oh, not exactly, it's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? Even the game is admitting as much. But it is quite strange that jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know. So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped. Okay, I thought it was just a way to make the jurors familiar, but even the game is saying that something weird's going on. That's actually kind of cool. Very well, now, Lord Von Zieks, the court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windebank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there was a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone, like the accused, you might say. Oh. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In the sealed chamber, there were only two persons present. The victim, Mr. Windibank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? She's one of those filthy drabs that lives in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? The girl's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. My Lord Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious. After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pick-purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Von Zeeks. At once, my lord. We're gonna have a lot to look at. I like it. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Reno. I think that's because it has. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windibank on the 16th of April of this year.
How can there be witnesses? Everyone fled.
I know. That's... something's weird. Okay, let's take a look at the McGilded case notes. Victim found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus of the day after a stab wound to the abdomen. It was Mason Milverton, brickmaker, East End of London. Magnus McGilded, Lord Von Zeek. That conviction was assured with 3 eyewitness testimonies. However, surprise fourth witness's testimony resulted in acquittal due to insufficient evidence. Okay. Today's paper we did. Pop Windibank, pawnbroker, 1 to 1:30 a.m. Reporting party Ryanosuke Naruhodo. Single bullet wound in upper half of victim's back. No other visible signs of trauma. Autopsy findings. Instant death from a postero-anterior bullet wound to the heart. The bullet entered the body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. There's the bullet wound. This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windibank only is used to keep this gun to hand on his shelf counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But as one bullet was fired that night, the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder, trying to keep the articles safe? Yeah, it looks like the chamber's the only thing that I can find. Okay. Let's call the witnesses now.
They're the robbers.
Yeah, that's what they look like, don't they? You know who else they look like? They look like, Luigi and Wario. Like, weird-looking versions. State your names and occupations. Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is her baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo. Wow, okay. Occupation's same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right, we're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers. What are you looking at me like that for? Don't let me in with you lot. Core blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going for? It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him, we have. So we're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And then last night, we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is Nash, he is. The very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was gonna do. We was gonna call ya Big Bruv Sulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin, and that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they these three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't let me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. In the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence! Indeed, my lord, while attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. Oh wow, oh my god! He's a lot shorter and on a box! So, just an observation, because again, I've not read anything about the story, but either those two were the ones who shot back, or something else more sinister happened. Like, they were there to burglarize, but, like, some crazy else happened. I don't know. Order, order. The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, that they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to. 'Cause a Skulkin's never skulkin'. Get out of it. We was walking down Banker Street in the small hours, and the gaff store was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We wanted to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that nice and quiet. A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Runo? Sorry, I was just stunned at the silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Yeah, because, at least in our mind, they did something because we saw them and then a gunshot happened.
Hold it!
The front door of Windibanks was ajar, you say? What time of night was this? Must have been about 1, right, Ringo? Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Sulky? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true, and they're right, Ringo. I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker? Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim. That is pure conjecture. Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened. He was quick to say that. It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was. What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say, don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash, they do. It must have been some sort of providence, I reckon.
I had that thing above his head.
He did?
Well, oh wait, I'm confused, never mind.
Yeah, because I didn't see anything. God's will often presents itself as the whims of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim, I'm sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't, like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it. It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks just like our bruv. I said cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. But once we got inside, core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. A gunshot, you say? Just the one, are you sure about that? Yep, just the one, Governor, I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used belonged to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Windibank always used to leave his gun lying around the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Windibank always used to say he only ever kept the single bullet loaded. That's true, I remember him saying that as well. So can we say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged in the firearm used as the murder weapon? Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. Yes, but we know the shot went to Sholmes. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there was only one other door, that of the storeroom. Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Eh? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, your turn to rap it, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is of the former. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left, nice and quiet. You didn't do or take anything. Is that your story? Well, it was Bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out, me Lady Lucy Lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say. That's right, Governor. Nothing we aid more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out, me Lucy Lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe... come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Ah! Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. Why, the bleeding Nora. Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. The great Sholmes, that's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair was arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. Hee. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence.
Let's take a little break.
A little break? Okay. I will save. By little break, what's your definition of little? Okay, she's just gonna brush her teeth, so we're not finished. Very curious how this is going to shape up. Because he's already gearing up here. She's almost finished. Head still hurts? You know why? Because Von Zieks is a xenophobic jerk, man.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Now I learn Nipponese friend. It's like he's trapping us into something. Yes. Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder, but the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there. However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. Let's take a look at this gun.
Crime scene picture.
So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it? Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Windibank's door. Whoops.
Can you click on the cylinder? Because the cylinder's not right here. Click on the...
Well, I did already. What was the last thing she said, though? I'll make those brothers pay. Let's see. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded their firearm in the pawnbroker shop that night? Okay, so let's look at this again.
Is there another picture? Like on the scene?
No.
Because remember, there's a bullet hole going out the door, too.
Yeah, there's only one picture, hon.
What's in Windibank's gun?
Just the cylinder.
It's not loaded?
Nope, cylinder's empty.
So then you present...
No, but what he's saying is, I think, is that how can you prove that specific gun was shot that day?
Because this gun has no ammunition or casing in it, and it's in the room with him.
So we present that to say
Well,
it couldn't have come from this gun?
Yeah, because there's no casing and there's no ammunition.
The evidence is this. No, it's not.
Was it the other one then?
No, because what they're saying, hon, what I was trying to tell you is, what they're saying is, even if, we've established that gun was used and shot, that doesn't necessarily mean that the other shot came from their gun. That's what they're saying.
Okay, why is no one following my logic that if they're in a locked room and there's a firearm in there that doesn't eject casings, and there isn't a bullet or casing in the chamber of the cylinder, it can't be the one that's fired?
Yeah, that can't be, but that doesn't necessarily mean their gun was the one that was also fired.
So there's somebody else.
That's what Lord Von Zeeks is trying to say. Let's see. So let's see. Nominal Nipponese friends. Yeah, what he's arguing is just that it was shot somewhere else. That you have to prove it was actually shot that night.
Is it that one? That's to the picture, because see, there's the bullet.
Boom! So you were remembering another picture, just wasn't a single picture piece of evidence. The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth do you have there, Counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do? How arrogantly Nipponese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. You claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein? Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, Counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio to prove these witnesses unloaded the firearm at the scene? There we go.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. On April 16th, too. Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right, and while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night.
Why is that one so short?
Because he is. Order, how does the prosecution stand, Lord Von Zieks? I can't wait till we put this guy in his place. Because he doesn't seem to have some kind of redemption arc like Edgeworth, you know? If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hollowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies, they claimed to be opening fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street. Take it easy there, Governor. You're going to land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't going to get into them details. Tell him so. He set the bloke straight. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Von Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what do you refer, Lord Von Zieks? As has been established at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes... Why am I getting a text right now? Meh. Nope. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We didn't. That's what I reckon. The crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let's not forget attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Erlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appeared to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery. Eccentric? Says who? Not me, don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop, yeah. Oh, that's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion. Yeah, because nobody was there, I'm assuming. They're rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are two such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, the respective positions are here and here. You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera. Hee, that's a bit of Friar Tuck, eh, bruv? Lady Luck loves a skulkin'. Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin? Must have been just after 1, right, bruv? Must have been, Nash, must have been. Yeah, just gone 1. In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment, what scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Good lord, it's the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter, no doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Quite, one can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence if you please, counsel. She's probably just trying to save him. Stop trying to shoot yourself! This guy always gets his gun to do that. I don't believe it, Ginny. In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windibank. I know there are some jurors who are going to start throwing flames. I say, my lord. Yep. Wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a Bali bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand, 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, the medal could never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see, the battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading this small squadron, 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words, one for all and all for one. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a matter of speaking, yes. This is the Garradub Squadron's position, sir. Well, no, it's too soon to make a status report for the corpsman on the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions, too. I'm thinking upon the truth as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it. I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. In all honesty, I can't actually remember. Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop. I am very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her reading in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
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 Alright, time to pitch y'all against each other. Y'all are gonna eat each other from within. Does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Ginny didn't shoot him. No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. Very well, the court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. Dude, you've lost twice, man. We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Abso-bolly-lutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketian. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at that photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. If I have left it in there, I should think there will be repercussions by now. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop. In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. The circumstance of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively. The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. In the accused's hands, the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses. Not to mention this print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. The young girl's on the verge of pulling the bally trigger. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear. Hurley's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder. I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you. But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. Which means there's more to this situation than we've yet to see. Agreed. You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. I want to know if he's got something that'll come out of that. What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl's about to shoot the victim, obviously. But there's no indication the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information. By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? Ooh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. It never gets old seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary. It's the height of modernity.
They're gonna have to merge that one with the one from the other direction.
Probably, yeah. Of course. Oh yes, I think you'll find that the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen. If only it could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. We'll get something new out of him. Okay, let's figure out why this old man's a doctor now. What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that. Ah, so sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon. A surgeon? That totally passed me by. Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors. Oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field. So what is it that you think you've left behind? Well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday. Standard thing, went in through the abdomen. But when I'd finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere. What? Did he? Surely not. Exactly, surely not, you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really. That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter. That's exactly my concern, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure. I'm sure you need to be more sure.
Hold it!
Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Rail mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey. But now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cable have been laid along the ocean beds connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed? Makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You're well informed, young lady. Hee hee. The cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. And just when I started to catch up. Radio transmission is the future. Stop. Messages carried over airwaves to 4 corners of the globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What other piffle?
Right, there's your pit right there.
Yeah, I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys.
Excuse me.
Alright, juror number 3. Sorry to interrupt while you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on, I dare you. Goodness, are you talking to me? I think you might just be, yeah. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely, I mean really. A machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions? Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry, stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you had never noticed before. Weren't you just saying something like that? What? Have you got any, Runo? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope?
Yes.
How about this print here? I think this will do the trick. Are we gonna do like the cat pictures? Or are we?
The one of her standing to shoot him.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do that with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. Okay, so what's the second print?
Shit. Do we not have 2 from the...
We don't.
Take that!
Wait, sorry? What do you mean one more print? Oh dear, don't you have these in the Far East? Don't you know how a stereoscope works? Bruno, what? You need 2 photographs for a stereoscope, remember? You know, one for the left eye, one for the right eye. Oh, yes, I remember now, but the print we have from the pawnbroker is just a normal photograph. No, I think you'll find that the clue is in the name. It's a stereoscope, not a monoscope. You always need 2 prints. Thanks for the friendly explanation. Well, if we obtain another print at some point later in the trial, we can always show it to this young man then. Ha ha ha. I think you'll find that know-it-all expression is really starting to annoy me. Okay, we'll circle back to that. Let's get things back on track, shall we? Okay, let's talk to the guy who we saw in the picture in case 2. Please tell me you're not Violent Bolshevik! The Russian revolutionary. Revolutionary? I believe there is such a rumor. It's just a rumor? As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. I look like Wish's criminal. Your words, not mine. I just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat. And which glove fits? Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. Let's take bus to Crystal Tower, please. He said that already. Right, that didn't sound staged at all. You'll forgive me for having my doubts. To be treated like Wish's criminal all the time, it is very painful. People do not realize. So I have much sympathies for these brothers. People say they are criminals only because of how they look. The Skulkin brothers? Maybe they went inside Pawnbroker's shop, but they have done nothing wrong. That's all what I want to say. The Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night. Alright, well, first of all, that's one not-so-little misunderstanding, so I'll need to clear it right away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Bruno? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of London town, aren't they? Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's a Russian tourist sitting among them who looks for all the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. If I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors, the trial will be over. But we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone. Yes, so we're going to need to find contradictions in what they're saying. I'm honestly... I'm a little surprised that the game is making such hay as to the jurors, because, again, I just thought it was just a way to...
Well, she's in the stereoscope, too, picture. I saw that when we were there.
Yeah. I mean, this guy who's the surgeon was the forgetful guy. We've seen her. He was in the newspaper. I mean, we're connected to several of these people. But it's just funny, because I thought it was just like, well, you know how things go in stories. The world's always a little smaller. People are related to each other. But I'm... Dang. Pause on the bench I see again. Maid's work is never done, not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pick-pursers, and crossmen, the scum of the earth. A little harsh, perhaps. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Herlock Sholmes. That's right, I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Rance magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Mr. Sholmes, a maid? It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. Minor detail was the two brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it might just be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, alright. I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting... Oh, does she mean hang?
I think so.
I agree with you. The shooting of Mr. Sholmes was an unforgivable act. But the purpose of this trial is to determine who shot the pawnbroker, Mr. Windibank. I'm afraid you're splitting hairs, sir. Sorry? Whether it was the thieves or the pick-purse, it was still gutter trash that shot the pawnbroker in the end. I feel that should be cleaned up and eradicated in my considered opinion. Thanks so much for sharing. Changing this maid's mind isn't going to be easy. Bruno, it was one of those two brothers that shot Hurley, wasn't it? Yes, without question. Well then, I'll never forgive them. Oh, Iris. Perhaps we could use this maid's statement to help us somehow, do you think? Yes, maybe. Let's listen carefully to what each juror has to say first.
The Russian feels sorry for them. She hates them.
Yes. Good catch there.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good lord, counsel, explain yourself. Oh my statement contradictory? Contradict, C-O-N. Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick, I have mouse. As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene on the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver. Yes, they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen, ABD. Sir? Sorry, my English is still learning. You are telling the court you didn't hear. Forgive me, I did not hear. Ugh. Ah, here is word. Abdomen, part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English, I am Russian, not native speaker. You thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again? So, you are telling me these brothers, who look like criminals, were lying. They said before we never done nothing, but the truth is, they shot the detective. This is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. This means when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough! I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir.
Put it in the mousey.
I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be Yes, it is, Runo. Easily. Sorry? with the prints from Hurley's red-handed recorder. Ah. If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from half an hour later, you'd be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Coolly, Mr. Prosecutor. Tut-tut. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accused stunning the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later, after the brothers' flight, and now we have the second picture. So this was taken after Hurley was shot then. As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken. That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot man, but they stole nothing. It would seem so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right, I did not understand the situation. But I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue the trial. Yay, well done, Reno. The balance is shifting. Well, it's a start, I suppose, but there must be more, and what these jurors are saying that I can expose, they can use to expose the truth. If I can do that, we might just turn the situation in our favor still. Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand the new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence. Okay, let's go back to juror number 3. Can't really show up new clues, though. Don't know unless you try. How about this print here? This should do the trick. Okay.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can deal with this? Yes, yes, yes.
Take that!
Alright, these two prints were both taken with the same camera and window bangs on the night in question. Yes, you see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer, do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only a slight shift in positions of some objects. Then when your brain merges the two images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly. It's that small shift between certain objects in the two pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use two photographs that are exactly the same, then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene three-dimensionally, anyway. Oh! Of course, now I see. I thought the young girl has discovered the secret. I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? Have another look at these two pictures from Hurley's camera, Reno. Go on. Can you see that there's a really obvious difference between them? Of course there is. There are two people in the first and no people in the second. Well, yes, you can see that straight away, but now, try looking at the picture in 3 dimensions. Alright, give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes, and then try to make the two pictures overlap exactly. Let's see if by crossing my eyes, I can make the quill pens from each picture overlap in the middle. Wait. Well, did you manage to see it properly? Let's try it again. I'm just not very good at this trouble. Oh, don't worry, I have just a thing. I happen to bring with me a portable stereoscope. I know I mentioned this yesterday, but if you had had that contraption on you from the outset, you could have saved me staring at Mr. Windibank and Gina like I hate them all the time. And if you remember, I said in reply that it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Anyway, why don't you try using this helpful little aid now? Thank you. Here goes. Now let's see what we've got. Wait, look at that. What's going on with these two pictures? Some of the things on the corner they sort of jump out at you. Yes, that's it, you see. That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power? Is someone gonna explain this black magic, eh? Why the deuce do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that, I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope. As I said before, if you try to look at the two identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures three-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance it seems pictures on the counter haven't moved at all, or the opposite of the counter haven't moved at all between the two pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yes, there must have been. Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say, but why the devil does this shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. What? Me? I haven't the first idea. You know, Reno, it's quite simple. It is? Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 a.m., then 30 minutes later the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim, so that means that sometime in the next half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter. Zookers. Someone tampered? New information, stop. None mentioned in testimony so far, stop. Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, but I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting that you might know? Of course! I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items on the counter. Well, it's not going to be Susato. It could be Herlock. Don't think it's Iris. Wouldn't be Windibank. Wouldn't be Gina, she's passed out. Eggert, we saw the day of. It wouldn't be him. Wouldn't be him. That'd be him. No. I don't think so. Who do you think?
Would it be Windibank, because he'd be the only one that would know who to put it back?
But he was already dead.
We don't know which brother to present. But we don't know what was taken. What did it say for the description of Holmes? What is in that area that's moved?
It's, the skull and the case.
What's the case for?
I don't know.
Let's look at it.
I can't.
Oh.
Well, let's try one of them. Was the witnesses curling in the stand?
Wait, this does not agree with what Brother said in testimony before. They said that I did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrasebook says dukes is meaning hands and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is that what you are saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Hold on there a minute, you can't be sure of that. I quite agree, the accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to the Skulkin brothers? All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. The accused is a pick purse, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madame. No better, in fact, worse than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter last night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by two thieves? Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair. I'm tired, hon.
I was gonna say, my head still hurts.
Yeah. This has been, it's not even the case's fault. Is that we both woke up early for work. But this has been good. I'm liking the case so far. I'm still very curious how all this is going to play out, and looking forward to concluding it. Well, one day. We're probably not close to the end. Looking forward to continuing.